Can
All
you
right.
see us? If anybody's actually even on the broadcast.
They might not be.
So a quick catch up to where we're at is if you have Node and npm already installed, you just open up your terminal and type npm install gun. And then we're going to start on the example server. So once you've installed gun with npm install gun, you then do cd node modules and then cd gun. And then once you're inside of that folder, run npm start. Now, depending upon annoying system administration policies and how npm installs stuff, you might have to run sudo first, or you might have to forcibly make dir node modules in order for it to work. But I'm not going to go over that here. All right, is anybody not there? Huh? Is everybody there?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Now we can just pop open the browser and, oh, dang it, you can't increase the URL. Go to localhost 8080, and a kitchen sink example should open up. Now, we can do something kind of screwy and fun. We could actually harvest all of our computers to be running gun server simultaneously. Right now, you guys are just running your own gun server. So if I snap this window to the left and open up a new window and snap it to the right, which for all you Mac users, you can't do, you'll see that when, what?
I can do
Oh, you can? Oh, what is the command?
that. I don't.
Ah,
You just hit
drag.
window.
Tisk tisk.
I know.
Foo. So if I add foo on this side, yeah, I like Windows.
So
You can see it real-time syncs. Okay? So that's as easy to get done started and see that it works. Okay? Does everybody see that real-time sync? I'm tempted to do the Holy Grail demo.
Again. Nah, I just wanted to see it.
Yeah? Okay. So, realistically though, the way that you would run your own app is you'd probably want to have a gun server. So let's open up. Oh my goodness. Where? Mark. Temp node. JS node modules. Gun. Or even easier, we can just go to GitHub. So let me go to GitHub instead.
There's internet examples of simple Express servers. That's a very basic Express server.
Yes,
Works really well here.
correct. That's
But
what
you
I'm,
will need to npm install.
right. So do you guys want to do the Express example or the raw HTTP server example? What do you guys like better, Express or raw HTTP?
Express.
Express.
Sounds easy.
Anybody else want Express? Do you like Express? What do you use for us?
Whatever's convenient.
Whatever's convenient?
Yeah, I actually use
Go
it.
back to the terminal
Okay.
real quick.
All right. So if you go to GitHub, amark/gun, and then you go to examples, you'll see that there is an Express.js file. Now this is also in what you just downloaded, so you can just open it up there if you want. But I'm going to decrease the font. So this Express file is actually everything you need to potentially start a server on Amazon Web Services or Heroku or OpenShift, because this top line here, I've already just included the default ports that Heroku and other places want you to bind to. I guess if you're running on Amazon Web Services, you are going to have an upstart script or something to make sure this server stays alive. But if you have Heroku, you could at this point probably just git commit this and push to Heroku. You have it up?
Yeah.
Okay. Yay. So realistically, to start your server, you're going to say var express, and then var app is equal to express, and then you're going to want to include gun, which is var require gun, and you're going to instantiate gun with, you don't need to actually pass anything in if you're running it locally.
So
It'll just default.
Yeah, that entire object that you passed the gun, and this example, you don't actually need that. That's just demonstrating what you could do.
Yeah, so if you were running this and wanted to have S3 as your backup, then that's where you would put in those parameters. Elsewise, you can just instantiate gun. This will make it work in memory, and it will default to actually the module that Forrest wrote, the file module, which dumps the database to a JSON file. Now, obviously, you don't really want to use that in production because it's just resaving the entire graph of data to a single JSON object every single time. But it's awesome for doing development. And that's why Forrest built it, because I hadn't ever gotten around to it, and he kept on complaining to me, do I have to connect to S3? And then he fixed that problem. So then we have to make sure that Gun's WebSocket server is able to interface with the HTTP server that Express has. And we've made this really, really easy. You just type gun.wsp for WebSocket JSON-P fallback server, and then you pass it the Express instance. And then after that, and it's very, very important that you start the port after you have already passed it in. And then just for the sake of this example, we're also using Express's static server file thingy-majigger, so we can actually have some data. So that's how you get set up with a really basic Node.js gun relay server. But at this point, I'm going to open it up to you guys. Yes?
Another option is I built another
Yes.
little library thing, just gun-server. So give that a shot. npm install gun-server.
npm install gun-server.
Now, as soon as you're in a node, you can require that module, and it just exports a function. You pass that a port number, or it just defaults to 88,
Okay.
and then it starts it.
So I'm in Node, and I say gun servers. I think
No dashes.
gun server is equal to require gun-server, and then
Now,
what do we do?
just type gun-server, and then invoke it.
That's it?
Yep.
Sweet.
Bam!
Now, if I go to the magical,
8080/gun.js. Just make sure
yes.
it's working.
so
Ta-da!
gun automatically attaches itself to /gun.js, so it's easy to deliver down to client JavaScript. So if you want an even easier way to start a gun server in your app, just use gun-server. So I'm going to clear this out and start again. Fair gun server is equal to require gun-server, and then all we have to do is gun server. And now we have a gun server that's up and running. We don't have any app or files to use. Does this also start a static file server?
It doesn't, but if
No.
you pass a function, you've got a handler.
And is this using Express underneath, or is it using HTTP underneath?
HTTP.
Okay.
You can also pass an HTTP instance if you like.
Cool. All right, so now at this point, I want to open up to you guys, because all I've shown you is how to start gun, but not really how to use gun. So do you want me to go over data structures first? I'm going to probably do that from the browser, because that's a comfortable environment for me. Or do you guys want to try and hack out a small prototype app, like a to-do app? Yeah?
That sounds fun.
You want to hack out a small project? All right. So then we're gonna what and let's try and keep it constrained. What type of app should we create?
To-do list.
A to-do list. Okay.
Typical.
Typical. So we're
So that
gonna,
you can sync in and see.
yep.
Oh, Mark.
Yes.
Oh, never mind. No,
Or
you're
do you
using
wanna go for
Sublime.
the game?
Yeah, but I'm just gonna say that. All right. So first we need to create our index.html.
So
Yes. No. Please interrupt with as many questions as you can.
so you create a JavaScript and HTML files, right?
Yes.
And how do you attach that to the server?
So we're probably going to go back and use the Express server just because it has a static file server built in. And I'll jump back to that in just a second.
Sure.
So inside of, am I in the correct folder? No, I am not. There we go. How do you get Mac to save to? Okay.
You can. It's
All
impossible.
right. So use.html. Now this file So rather than using Jesse's gun server approach, just so we can include a static file server with Express, let's pull the Express one in. So our app is going to require Express. App is equal to Express. We're going to start it like I was saying before, and we're going to attach it, and then we're going to use the static file directory in this current port. I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to make that as app.js. Is that what do you guys typically call your server?
Server.js.
Server.js?
In fact, that's the one I think package.json will look for by default.
Okay. Node modules. Why? I really do not like Mac's weird file system. Okay. Now, of course, that's not going to work unless we get npm to include it. So let's create a package.json, and everybody apparently likes using the npm init script, right?
Yes.
So what do I type? Because I don't use npm.
Sudo npm init.
Or you don't actually need
Need
sudo.
sudo?
So
So
just
npm init, and we're going to
Depends on
call.
the permissions you have set up. I always have to sudo.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot too. All right, so the name, we're just going to call it to-do app. And then we're going to say the version is 1.0, description, to-do app with gun. And then we're going to have an entry point as server.js, which is fine. So just click enter, test command, no tests yet, git repo, nothing yet. Keyword, oh, come on, init. License, is this okay? All right, now the way I get Express to save is I do npm install -g
dash
save
express.
Express. All right, is everybody there? Yeah. So once this is done, we should be able to start the server and see index.html. So node server JS. Port is not defined. Right. So let's go back and fix this. Has everybody followed on the server.js file?
Where do you save it? The server.js?
The same folder as.
at the top level of your project directory.
Okay, and you take the node and initiate it.
So let me peek over here. Where's your where have you currently been playing around inside of? Okay. So where are you currently at?
That's what I'm saying.
Node module set. Do go cd up. Yeah, one more time. Oh, okay. Now just do make dir temp or make dir Node.js app, to-do app, or whatever you want to call it. Okay. Then cd into it, and then rerun npm init, enter all the way through it, and then do npm install -save gun express. Hit init first. npm init. No, that's fine. Hey, and then your folder directory. Do me a favor and just do make dir to do, and then hit enter. Then cd to do.
No, just
Okay. Now do npm init, and then just hit enter.
I have used VMN.
Now do npm install --save, right? Mm-hmm. And then gun space express. Okay. And then tell me when you're done. So I'm just gonna hard code the port to be 8080 since I like that port. And this should run now. Port does not define. Oh, because I also finished out here. And then let me know as soon as it's done. Okay. So now we can test to see if our server works by going to 8080 index.html, and it does indeed seem to have loaded on my computer. Does everybody now have?
When did you switch to 8080?
Just a second ago.
Okay.
All right.
I was being distracted by this guy.
That's fine. So now let's create a server.js file. Does everybody else have the server.js file? And then you're going to do standard express instantiation. You're going to instantiate gun, and you're going to bind gun to express, and then you have a server that can sync through.
Awesome.
And then hopefully we'll actually get to the cool stuff, which is doing data stuff with gun rather than just running a gun server.
That crashed. Now there's some news.
How are you doing?
Another one? Good.
You got it up?
Yeah, let's go.
Sweet.
Desktop
And
didn't
index.html?
work on these
Yeah.
computers.
Awesome.
It drives me crazy on stupid Linux. It always hogs my port. Every time I start up on
Okay.
the server, and then I use Control-Z to shut it down, it always leaves it running.
Oh, were you still looking at it?
Okay.
I'm going to snap it to the right. I'm going to pull this guy out. All right, so I'm going to move ahead just slightly while you're catching up. In our index file, we want to, of course, include gun. So create a script tag, source is equal to gun.js, because when we bind gun to the server, it'll automatically create, it'll automatically deliver it for you. And now, h1, hello world, h1, save, and if I refresh, it should be there, okay. All right, are you
Almost.
almost? Sorry.
Alright.
Whatever port you want to put it on. If you push something Heroku, you want it on Heroku's port, but you look up the environment variable for that separately. Okay, and let's just really quickly.
I'm done.
You done? Okay. So then you'll be able to catch up with the index.html, right? Because I'm going to be in here for a while. All right. Is anybody else? You guys up to speed? Okay. Now I'm going to just inline this, but you of course can put it in your own file. So now we need to instantiate gun on the client as well. In the same way we instantiate gun on the server. So var gun is equal to gun. However, on the client, we want to connect to the other gun peer, which is a server. So even though I talked about a gun server, it turns out that the gun server doesn't have to be any different than a browser client. Now, obviously, you're probably going to build your app with doing server-like stuff in it. You probably will, but you don't need to think about them as being any different. So the way we want to connect to this single peer is by typing in the URL, localhost 8080, and then append/gun, because that's where gun listens to. Now I'm going to cheat. So rather than having it hard-coded as a string, because if I ever change my port, that's not going to help. I'm just going to do location.origin +/gun. So that way, no matter where I've deployed, it will still work. Now, what if you want to connect to multiple gun servers, like all of our machines on a computer currently? Uh-oh, did something crash?
I run into the same problem. Just not addressing use. I gotta go through and kill every blasted process.
Every process, and it's still complete. What about 3000 or 88 or 81?
You know, if I start the server, save the server file.
No, it's super annoying.
Yes,
So,
Linux is.
Hey.
What are you serving with?
Just a question. Node to start the server. You help them start the server?
Sure.
I save the server file.
You type node space server.js.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, and hit enter.
And
And now go to your browser and check to see if that index.html file loads.
Perfect.
Cool. Nice.
And that just starts a new node process with the entry file as server.js.
Yeah.
So from there, you can build the rest of it.
Yep. All right. So if you want to run multiple gun servers, so for instance, we're all connected on the same network right here, and you guys are all running with a gun server, I could connect to all of your guys' machines and have all of our to-do apps synced together. Do you guys want to try to do that?
That would be awesome.
Okay. So I need to get your IPs though, which how do I get my IP, Jesse?
Type IP.
IP?
Oh.
How does everybody else
Try ifconfig.
ifconfig? Okay, cool. So So I believe I'm this one.
Oh yeah.
So if I go to 10.10.10.94 colon 8080 / index.html, I should also be able to load my own computer. Okay. So hopefully that's not going to change on my machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hard code my IP. Now, what are your guys' IP?
10, 10, 10, 18.
Okay,
That sound
18.
good?
Yes. So instantiate gun on the client with an array, and you just pass it multiple strings. 10, 10, 10, 18.
Yeah.
18 and
22.
22 and
If config, right?
IP if config, if config.
It's a Mac thing. CPU
Where is
IP
IP?
config. Or is that is he on a
I
Mac?
think IP config is Windows.
Yeah.
Or
158?
you know these things better than I do.
I don't know.
That's the one?
As you can tell, I'm very much of a JavaScript front-end oriented person that decided I could make my life better if I could get rid of the database and turn the database into being a JavaScript database. Then the only thing I have to deal with is a minimum Node.js server.
Do on
IP config is for Windows. IF config is for.
You want me to
Oh,
fix
it's
the
opposite?
server?
Yeah.
What do you-
Okay.
Yeah, so add a colon after the intro.
All right. So just for funsies,
I'm serving on 3000.
3000.
ID is equal to title, and that should allow me to just. Turns out that title. Turns out the IDs that you give in CSS become global variables in JavaScript.
How much were you?
Did anybody know that?
That was great. Did not.
Boris, did you know that? That IDs in your HTML turn into global JavaScript objects?
Oh,
Very, yeah. Well,
Isn't that scary? DOM elements.
Yeah.
Okay.
Horrible.
So now that we've connected to a bunch of clients, I'm just going to really quickly allow us to all manipulate the title.
Can you include me? It's 158.
Oh, 158.
Code 3000.
3,000. Okay. 158, and sure that's a 10. 10. It's a 10, 10, 10, 3.
Yeah.
158. Huh. Okay.
158. Yeah.
All right. So now that we've instantiated gun to all these peers, I'm just going to do a simple key value lookup. I'm going to do it on the title object. So what should I call this? Gun title. I hate camel case. Gun title is equal to gun.get title, and then gun title.on subscribes to updates. Actually, I'm just gonna have a root. I'm gonna have a root level gun with. I'm just gonna call app. Okay, and then on the app, I'm going. So actually, let me call this app. And then on the app, I'm going to do app.path title.on. And it should give me the value of the title. So then I'm going to do title, which is the JavaScript global variable for that element. Inner, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to do an inner HTML, which will allow you to do cross-site scripting to my computer. Title.inner HTML. Now we also want to be able to update it. So I'm going to change this to an input element because HTML sucks and I want to be able to type into it. So then I actually can now avoid having cross-site scripting. Title.value is equal to val. And now I need to add key bindings. So title.onKeyUp function app.path title. Actually, I'm going to cache that as well. So there, app title is equal to app.path title. And then I can just reuse that here. It's always good practice to cache things. And then down here, I can do, rather than doing app.path, I can just do app.apptitle dot put title dot value. Does that make sense? So whenever anybody does a key up on the input element, save the input element's value, put that value into gun on that property.
Sure.
Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So I'm gonna refresh here, and used up the font like crazy. I should probably check to see I didn't have any typos. The bottom console, everything looks good. I'm gonna pop one open over here, and that should mean I am connected to all of you guys. Oh, somebody's already typing. Now, because it's just an input field, that means it's just got race conditions of what's happened? Oh, okay. So apparently it doesn't like being connected to that many servers. We are fixing some of the performance stuff with this new 0.5 release, which can actually do 30 million reads per second. I mean, that's if it's cached, so there's latency in the network. Oh, another thing here that you guys should probably be aware of is all of our computers probably have slightly different clocks on them. And gun will actually automatically resolve that. So if your clock happens to be ahead of my clock, gun will defer the operation you've done on my machine and wait until it actually gets to that point in time. And this mitigates against attacks by people who try and save data. Because if you set your clock to 2 years in the future and you try and save data, if you're used timestamps alone, then that person would now be winning for the next 2 years because they blow out any other right. The gun doesn't use timestamps alone. It combines hybrid, lexical, timestamp, vector all together. So part of the delay can also be intentional from gun from our clocks having different states. Okay, so we see that it's working, right? Am I still actually connected to all of you guys' machines? Who else can type in the box?
I can't.
You can't?
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I typed as fast as my fingers would go. I couldn't catch up.
Okay, but some of you guys have typed onto my computer, so I'm gonna now get rid of everybody else, just so that we don't have to worry about. Oh, you guys saw that it worked, right? I've actually never connected to that many servers. Location.origin / gun. So I've actually never connected to that many servers before. Although I have done a fun thing where I'll connect to 2 servers, and then I will have a chat app that's running, and I will have people chat. I will crash one of the servers. People will keep on chatting. I will then bring that server back online and crash the other one. People will still keep on chatting. I'll then bring that server back up and then crash the original one. So I can alternate crashing servers back and forth, and it'll still work. Okay, so now let's get into doing the actual to-do side of the equation. I'm going to get rid of what we have so far and do get to-do. I'm going to do to-do is equal to gun.getToDo. So we still want to start. Let's change the HTML around because we actually need to create an interface for the to-do app. To-do app, woohoo! H1. Then I'm going to create a UL. And ID it as list. And then I am going to also create a form element. So we can add items, and that form element is going to have an input, which has an ID of item, and then a submit button. Input type is equal to submit. Value is equal add. Let me refresh. That looks like yes, that worked. All right, so now I add a submit handler. I do that by putting an ID on the form, to, I'm just going to call that add. So now in the JavaScript, I just do add.onSubmit is equal to function. And I'm going to do alert. Yay, it worked. Okay. And I'm going to switch back. And if I say apples, I get an alert message. Okay, has everybody caught up? So we changed the HTML around. Oh no, is it still throwing errors even with different ports?
No, I just rage quit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
Are you sure?
I'll learn more from watching.
Okay. I'm a hands-on type person, so I have a hard time. Well, I guess I have a hard time learning from reading text. How about everybody else? If you type something in, does it alert? Okay, so let's go back to your app. Are you getting any errors?
No.
What about you?
I just click.
But it's funny.
It's on submit. Just have to click the add button.
So we called, so we gave the form ID of add, and now you just do add.onSubmit.
Okay.
You can do it up there, but you don't get a value on it.
So you just get it by the ID.
Well, so you can get it by ID, but the weird thing about JavaScript and HTML is that if you have an ID, it'll automatically become a global variable. So add is now is as if you had gotten the element by ID. So now you just do add.onSubmit is equal to function.
I didn't know that. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I learned that like 4 weeks ago from you, right, Jesse?
I don't remember.
Blew my mind. Okay.
One of the demonstrations of how horrible front-end work is.
Okay. So people have that alert? Yeah.
Should probably do a prevent default so that it doesn't send it.
Ah, thank you. Yes. So make sure that your thank you. Your onSubmit handler takes a first parameter of event, or else the browser will like default refresh the page, and we want to prevent that. So we do e.prevent default. Don't you hate the annoying little quirks? Okay. So add is actually.
We might want to just declare that as a local variable as a get element.
Okay, yeah. Let's to not confuse people because it is really.
No, it's
confusing.
pretty cool actually.
It is cool, but it is really confusing. So
Which
add is
segments are
document.get element by ID. Add, right? I always forget if it's capital ID or okay. And so add is the same, or whatever the ID is in your app. So that's a little bit more explicit.
What is it supposed to be?
The ID of the form.
It's the signature.
There we go. So add an ID.
It's the form ID.
Yes, the form ID. I'm going to create, since we are referencing things explicitly, I'm going to create, because I really still need to get access to the input to get the value. I'm going to copy it, create item. So now I have item. So now I can alert item.value when I save it. Food. See, it pops up right there. And then go ahead and use whatever rendering library you like, whether, I guess not really, templating library you like, whether it's React or Angular or Vue or Feather or whatever it is. Oh, I mean just in terms of the front end HTML. Okay, so is everybody there? Woohoo, okay, now rather than alerting the message, let's save it to gone.
Not quite yet. We're not all there.
Oh,
Okay,
you
sorry.
go right in.
Is there? No, we're not. No child left behind.
Well, I'm still in the same problem that I can copy exactly what you have here, but there's something that's not invoked in this page.
Oh, but look, it's fine.
Well, yeah, this doesn't have anything that's actually invoked.
Well, open it in your browser.
If you load localhost 80, oh, is it on colon 80? Do colon 80? I know it won't make a difference because of defaults.
Yes.
And add slash index.html.
Yeah, this is Express. So they usually, that's not meant to be wrapping it.
But you have to actually specify in the express.
And-
And when I get HTML, it serves that.
Oh, that's that line express.static their name is for.
So it's basically adding a global.
So the magic that's happening of delivering the index.html is this.
So this is handling all
Just for people who were clear on that. Are you sure? I know other ports work.
I rebooted it.
Oh, it works now. Could you try switching it to something other than 80?
Where's the port?
You can hard just to the very, very top, yeah. Or you can hard code it. Or yeah, you just take those lines. And rerun the server.
I'm using that box already.
Now go to close API. Slash index.
It might have useful to local environment variable before it has APA.
Well, if you go to the node mod, it should print which port number to use, which is 88. Try running the server with sudo,
I did.
and it's still not resolved.
This is pseudo node.
Huh. Boy. Yeah,
Do you have any return?
do you have a LAMP server that's running in the background, or?
Not, I just rebooted it. It shouldn't have that lamp on. And even if it was, it wouldn't bother the 88.
Huh. Okay, I'm sorry.
Try a different
Is it okay if I keep on?
Go on. That's why I said go on.
I'm sorry,
Go
Joe.
on.
We have.
I'll take one.
All right, so now we want to save it to gun. So all we have to do is to do, because that's, where's my mouse? I can't see my mouse. It's right there, is referencing the to-do app that we're getting from gun. But a to-do app is kind of like a table, right? Because you just have a bunch of items inside of the table. So if you do to-do, let me check something really quickly.
At this point, I'm going
Okay, so did we deprecate set? No, we brought it back.
We brought it
right?
back, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
But
then
it only works for gun instances.
yeah. Oh, right. Okay.
And do a gun.put, that's all.
Yes. Okay. So, interesting. We changed the API recently, and you used to just be able to say gun.todo.set item.value, which is really nice and simple. But we have now prevented you from putting primitives into the set. We're probably going to change it back. So right now, I'm going to have to show you a quick workaround. So item.value, we're going to do put, but we're going to path into just a random ID. So I'm going to use gun.text.random.
This will create a random string
Yes.
and basically use it as the field name. So we're saying to do, grab the field name, that's our random string, and then put our value on that random string. So we're basically creating, or we're adding an item to a list with almost no chance of conflict with any other item.
Yeah. Another way I could word it too is that rather than thinking about this as tables, if you think about this as tables, then this is going to be its primary index, which isn't very helpful. But another way you can think about it is you can also just think of this as a JSON object, and the value of the to-do item is the value, and the field name is its. We don't really care about the field name, so we can just randomly generate it. All right, so I'm gonna hit save. That should work. We don't have anything to render it out yet, but I'm gonna, will this appear later? I'm gonna hit add. And we don't see anything because now we need to render it out. Okay, and that's what I'm going to do now. To-do.on function. Actually, let's get you guys to use to-do.map. So the map command is basically going to for each over every item in the list, but it also subscribes to every change of the item in real time. So now
The function is taking argument, which is the nodes that changed.
the function, yes, it receives the value that changed and the field that it was on. And in this case, we're using the field as being the ID. So correct. So it's very much like for each. So now we're going to render this out onto the screen, and I'm going to, oh, I want jQuery. So I'm going to do their,
This is HTML.
yeah, okay, thank you. I get to use jQuery. jQuery CD.
No, break the addiction.
No? Do you guys not want
No,
to use
you
jQuery?
Use the jQuery.
Oh, hallelujah, people.
It's
we
the
have
new
jQuery.
normal.
Let's go back. You're on our page. Go ahead, jQuery CDN.
Google CDN is good.
First one.
Google
First
CDN.
one. I think it's got this Google one on here, right?
Okay, find the 2.0 one.
Oh, I like
2.0.
I like 1.0. I like 1.0. No, I don't care. Just no.
You right click and copy the link.
And I'm gonna include that up there. I mean, I know this is nice that it's for integrity, but like,
Should use React, really.
like, what if I want man-in-the-middle attacks? I should use React. Yeah, React's pretty decent. I just don't know any React. So I guess apparently allowed people to do a man-in-the-middle attack because I just got rid of the integrity thing. But oops. Okay. Yes, I can change all of these into jQuery items. Woohoo! I love jQuery. I'm a jQuery addict. And look at how much nicer the code becomes. Woohoo! Oh, I guess I already have add on submit. Item.val. To-do.map. Okay, cool. So I'm going to first say jQuery, see if we already have the ID on the page, because then it's just an update. So plus ID. And then the issue is, if it doesn't exist, I want to append it to the UL list. So I'm going to do this weird thing where I tell jQuery to grab the actual item, because then if that element doesn't actually exist, it'll be null. So then I can do an OR operator, or I can tell jQuery, grab the UL and append to it. And sorry, people, I'm just going to stringify it. A list item with an ID. This is really bad practice. You shouldn't ever do this at home, children. Not that you guys are children. It's just, yeah, okay, I'm not going to dig this up.
Don't drag it.
What?
Don't drag it.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to reverse this. Sorry. I'm going to do jQuery UL item, and then I'm going to do append to UL. That's correct, because then my reference is the jQuery element. And actually, I can clean that up. I could just do li, and I can do .atr id is equal to id, and then .append to ul. And then down here, oh, I need to wrap this whole thing, because because this thing might not be a jQuery element, I'm just going to rewrap the whole thing. Again, this is why you should use like React or Angular, some templating language, right? So now I can just do item.value, and this should work if I haven't missed anything. Refresh. And we got 2 elements already, which was when I added stuff from earlier. Apparently it's not actually rendering out, so I'm going to debug that by doing console.log ID value. So it is in. Oh, because right, it's not an input. So it needs to be .text. There we go. Aha. And the reason why it showed up twice is because I hit enter, and then I also clicked submit. So as you see now, we need to fix this. If I type something and hit enter, it still stays in there. So let's clear out that. So up in our submit function, grab item, and then do .text, empty string. So that should now allow me to say hello. Ah, dang it.
Before we go on too much further,
Yes.
how's everyone doing?
Yeah.
Just keeping up for.
No. Okay. Let's.
That was a lot of typing.
Then I'll step back. Okay. So let's break this down into its pieces. This would be enormously more simple if you had a rendering system. Okay. So basically, we're saying jQuery, if this ID exists, reuse it. Elsewise, if it doesn't exist, create it, add its ID so we can find it later, and append it to our view out. So let me check other people's code. Yes. And so, yeah. Perfect.
But it should still work, right?
Yes. In fact, if we refresh the page, is it?
Good.
I don't know.
Not at all.
Oh, you need to do the event default.
Well, how do you,
Oh, you
how
don't
do you
tell
call
it.
this? Oh, it's
Then why
mapping
is it
on things.
still-
Okay.
We're iterating over the object.
Okay. That's perfect.
So to do is kind of like a node. As data loads in, it will invoke a map function. And so it's reactive.
Good news is we're almost done. Speed up the default.
Let's go back to kind of I think
Sorry. So set, change it to put.
these look
Yeah, that's fine. Set we'll reintroduce later, which will make the to-do app go from being 15 lines down to 4. Oh, so refreshing.
yeah.
Oh, right, because sorry, we switched. We added in jQuery, so we need to convert this into an on and then submit comma anonymous function. Yeah. Yes. Or you just delete those too. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Yay! Okay, now. Yes. Woohoo! Okay.
It's amazing.
And what about? Yeah. If you added in jQuery, then we also need to up convert this to a jQuery.
Yeah.
Oh, aha! You already got it. Faster than me. Yes. Are you still connecting to all the other servers?
No.
Just the one.
I'm
Is
just curious.
your server crash? So it looks like it's falling back to JSON-P.
Oh, but since it's node one, it's probably restarting.
Oh, so these must be.
It restarted.
There we go. Okay, so Gun is trying to automatically reconnect. So this is the error that Gun is saying. Oh, we tried to reconnect to Gun.
Now it's
Okay, good. Yeah, so every single time it refreshes the server, Gun's trying to auto reconnect, and it prints the error out so that you know that it's disconnected. Sometimes Firefox gets stuck in this thing where like the WebSocket will refresh the page from the previous page is still like hanging around and it throws an error.
Oh wow.
Which is annoying.
So much more beautiful.
What? It is the DOM element API is
I'm
not.
just saying that to get on your nerves.
You know that it gets on my nerves.
Oh, I said that.
Hopefully. So, no.
No, not it. You do a console.log on on
Yeah.
yeah, in the input. Actually, before you do the put, because in case it's throwing the error, then console.log item.out.
Actually, it's just it's gun saying.
Ah, we don't have a hash on item.
Oh no.
There we go. So that's probably it.
Ugh.
So it's like a CSS selector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Okay,
Awesome.
but now it's not rendering out. Oh, okay. So $. Then we need to add the HTML. Just
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh.
just do quotation and then li. Just create an empty li element.
So,
Oops.
Come back to
I'm using brackets.
Oh, no.
Another question.
Oh yeah. So see how I create it with
yeah.
the brackets? Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Oh.
Actually, that should work.
It prints out multiple times.
Right.
I think so.
Yes. So
Even if I add a brand new thing, you click add.
correct. So because
really
Gun
much.
is what's called peer-to-peer
Uh-huh.
or fully decentralized, right now Gun is picking up from 3 different sources, even though you only have 1 server. Gun's picking up from in-memory, from local storage in the browser, as well as from the storage from the server. So oftentimes Gun will print out multiple times, which is why we need the code in here to either reuse the element if it exists already, or and that's not intuitive at first, but if you learn to write code, you know what's called idempotent, so it solves a lot of bugs because it means you're guaranteed that you're reusing the same element every time, and not wasting, you're not messing up your display. In the future, we'll probably add some plugins that deduplicate things for you. The problem with that, though, is it actually slows things down because if 3 different sources are all replying, if you only want to get the response once, well, I guess you can use the first one. The core architecture has to have all those events happen because that's what allows our different computers to sync with each other.
Do we have a UL? I wanted to
Actually, I will show, we're about done here, but I will show perhaps the golden,
I think
the
that's
holy grail one,
just below or
because I'll show you what winds up happening. Your computer
below.
can actually make a request out to another computer, not your server.
Good.
It'll make a request through the server to another computer. That computer will reply with the data. And you don't have to do any additional coding to get that to work. All right, so is yours working?
yes.
All right. Well, that pretty much concludes it. Unless, do you want to delete stuff? Okay. So, do you want to know how to delete stuff, or are you kind of good? Because it's 7:30 now, which means we're pretty much done. But do you guys want to do delete? It's not that hard. Yes, no? Okay.
Yeah, let's delete.
All right, so then down here, we gotta do Jake, right, we gotta add, well, I'm gonna do it the hacky way. So we're gonna add global document listeners because the DOM is dumb. If you do in jQuery a listener for a click event on an LI, a list item, if you do that at the beginning, if you add any new list items, none of those list items will have that listener. So the way you get around that with jQuery is you say on document of double click, okay? But then you give it an extra selector filter, which is the list item li to match this tag. So now we should get alert this.id. So if I double click on this, bam, I get the ID of that item. So jQuery document.on double click, or whatever you want the method for deleting something. It'd probably be better to, actually have a template where your list item has like a little X button that's gorgeous on it. But then when you click the X button, it triggers this function, but same diff and it saves us time. All right. We're going to keep with the jQuery style. The ID of the element is this.atr ID, and that gives us where in our table we want to delete from. And all we have to do is say to-do.path ID. In the same way up here, we created the to-do item with an ID. Okay, we do to-do.path ID put. In the same way, we added item.val up here. Null. We're putting null into that spot. Now, you're going to probably see that it's going to sync some weird stuff. It's just going to go to null, which isn't very helpful. So we need to update our UI to say that if value, then item.text, else we need to tell the UI to remove the item from the UI of the DOM. So elsewise we do item.remove. So now if I double click on that, it's gone. See?
Yeah.
Or you might want to make it be a cross out instead, whatever you have out. So that is a full to-do app, and actually it took a long time. That took a full hour to go over, but it also got
From
you
scratch.
from scratch. So now you have a live reacting app that if I go to any of your guys' apps, if you guys hit my IP address, you'll be able to delete items, add items, 10.10.10.94:8080/index.html. So, woohoo! If I add an item on the right side, it shows up on the left side. It should show up on your guys' screen too.
What's the number?
There we go. Stuff. 10.10.10.94:8080. So what about what is somebody was on 18, right? And I'm gonna go to yours. It's showing up on your screen. So I hope you guys can see that it's you deleted it.
I did. I'm sorry.
I'm on Brian, right?
Yeah.
I'm on Brian's to do up. What's yours?
158.
158.
So 3,000.
3,000. Oh, who's been on it with potatoes? That must be Jesse.
Definitely.
Oh, you don't have double click delete anymore.
Not it. I'm so.
Forrest, what did you follow on?
Yeah.
What's yours?
And 22 and 80.
22.
80.
80. And this is actually proof for everybody in the live stream also that every person here. Oh no, is your server not accessible? It's just spinning.
We could also. Was it 8080 or 3000?
He's on 8080. Dot 22.
And
I didn't type in anybody's.
wait, what do you? I can't see.
I know it won't let me enlarge. 10.10.10.22. 8080. Why is it that? Do you have a firewall or something? Nah. All right, so that's the full to-do app. Now, I hope that gets you somewhat excited about how simple Gun is, because look, to do a real-time syncing to-do app from scratch, it's 10 lines of server-side code that you can now push up to Heroku. Well, you need to make sure you use the right port binding too. And then the actual app itself is less than 50 lines of code. And that's with lots of spacing, and I could improve things by using Angular or React to shrink that down. So it's really, really simple to make a to-do app that live syncs and it lets you collaborate with. Now, that's hopefully exciting. It's not necessarily the best demo because
That's awesome.
all we did though was like key value table stuff. Gun can also do document-based data, relational data, circular reference data.
What's circular reference?
The circular reference is my wife, Amber, has a husband who's Mark. So I can do, actually, I can probably just show it inline. But I also want to respect people's time in the sense that we're over. So var gun is equal to gun dot get mark. Okay. I'm going to do gun, actually, no, let me reword that. Let me make that be, oh, let me boost this up. Sorry, is that easier to read now?
Yeah.
Actually, it's a little bit too much because it's the top bar. Is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to say gun is equal to new gun. Var mark is equal to gun.get mark. I'm going to say mark.put name mark. I'm going to start with the document. So wife is a sub-object with name Amber, and she has a PhD true. Okay. I'm going to save that. Now I can do mark.val gun.log. Oh, well, I should type so you guys know it's asynchronous. Val field console.log data val, and I have the mark object right here. I can now traverse into Amber by going to mark path wife dot val function.
I want to see what he would do.
Okay.
Awesome.
Data console.log data. So that's document structure, right? I can even chain this by doing dot path PhD, right? And let's say true, or let's do dot path name, which is just Amber. But if I don't want to have to do all that together, I can just merge them together by using dot notation, and I still get the same thing. Okay. But now I'm going to do this: mark.path wife.key Amber. Okay. And now, even though I had saved Amber as a root level, I'm not trying to objectify my wife. I'm just using JavaScript vocabulary. Even though I had saved Amber as a sub-object to the object of Mark, there, we're being egalitarian. If I put a key on that, I can now access it from the top level. So I'm going to do gun.get amber.val function. Woo. Data console.log data. Bam.
Ooh.
So now Amber has become a root level key value that I don't have to traverse through Mark to get to Amber. But even cooler, right? If I then decide did I already save there Amber is equal to gun.get Amber. Okay, let me cache that. If I then decide Amber.path husband.put Mark, which is a gun ref, check this out. I can now do Amber.path husband.val function. So this is I'm gonna just quickly do the document view from Amber. Data console.log data. We get Mark back, but even cooler, if I then do husband.wife.husband.wife.husband.wife, I get Amber back. If I chain it one more time, I'll get Mark back. If I then chain it one more time and do .name, I get Amber back. If I do .phd, I get true. But if I remove that, I don't get anything back because it's now referencing to Mark. So you got full circular references, document data structures, you got key value, and relational data all together in one that are all syncing in real time across your app. And yes, peer-to-peer. Which, can I take 5 extra minutes and show you guys the Holy Grail demo? Some people have probably seen it before. I'm going to switch back to using the built-in one, gun, npm start. Okay, so let me pop this to the side. Localhost 80. Oh, I need a yes. And I go into this app here and do incognito over here. Actually, no, I can't do incognito. I'll do Firefox. If Firefox is gonna load, there we go. And then this will be my last demo. Okay. Woohoo! Real.
Don't know what to say.
Ah! Firefox. Okay. Hi. Right? So it's syncing. I'm going to now take the server. I'm going to crash it. Oh, I need to probably boost up this. Okay. So it's syncing. I'm going to now crash the server. We have the data saved right here. Okay. Foo. Hi. Okay. That's what it is on the server. I'm gonna delete that data. So now I can no longer, the server is crashed, it's down, and I've removed the data from the server.
Catastrophic failure.
Catastrophic failure. And you'll see that I cannot sync right now because we're depending upon the server to do the sync. So if I type A over here, it doesn't show up. I'm going to type B over here. So I'm going to make conflicting updates while both clients are still
Offline.
while they're offline. And if I do refresh, you'll see that they can't load the data from the server. But because Gun is decentralized, it has still saved the data to the browser. So when I spin up a new server, which doesn't have any of the pre-existing data on it, and I refresh this guy, you see that I still have that data, okay? I've recovered. But then when I pull this guy back online, it instantly syncs and recovers. So just as proof,
Whoever did the last.
I'll get to that in a moment. Just as proof that it's recovered everything, I'm gonna crash the server again and cat out data. And look, it's back.
Yeah.
And you guys saw me do the rm command. I'm not doing any magic here other than the fact that it looks magical. So the issue is whoever updated last is a false idea because in peer-to-peer systems, there is no notion of last. Last often, it's last relative to who.
So how did it decide which one to say?
It decides based off what I mentioned earlier, a combination of timestamps,
Oh yeah. So that's
lexical values.
What is lexical?
Lexical is alphanumeric, so whichever one has the higher lexical
So if this
value.
say the BBB wins because it's a higher lexical sort.
If the timestamps are
It's
exactly
stupid, but
equal.
it's predictable.
It's predictable,
That's exactly
yes.
what you need. It needs to resolve to the same state on every browser.
But that's actually just an edge case, though.
Right.
Because
That is an edge case.
what you're looking at is we have the notion of each property being an atomic value.
Yes.
So how do you merge something? Well, you look at when was the last time you updated or that property was updated on your machine, or the last update you accepted. And then what is the operating state of my machine? What is the current time moving forward? That is our operating state. We won't accept anything ahead of time. We'll defer those updates and deal with them at a later time. We won't accept anything before that for stale updates. So when we get in something else, we see, is it between that operating state? If it is, well, we update our current value and then merge that to our new value. Otherwise, if it's the exact same time, then we need to find something that we can all agree on. Otherwise, we'll never converge on the state. And so we use the lexical sort to make sure that we can all agree what is the current representation of the data. So it's only actually used in a tiny little edge case.
Yeah.
The rest is more based on time.
Well,
But
based
if you
on
have
time
one
and vectors
vector,
and vectors. So it's time, vector, and lexical all combined together. So actually, let's take what Jesse, literally what Jesse said, that's it. It kind of sounds fancy, but it's not really fancy. Let's actually do the time traveling. Well, we're wait. At 7. You guys want to do a time travel example?
Yes,
Guys?
definitely.
Okay, so I need somebody to change their system clock to, let's say, let's
5 minutes in the future.
5 minutes, 2 minutes. Set it to 2 minutes in the future.
Yeah.
Means you probably have to disable NTP though, and I'm going to connect to my machine. In fact, let's only have one person put their clock to the future. They're going to be the bad guy.
In fact, Windows does this for you.
So I want somebody else to go to localhost 8080 and then /json/index.html. Brian, do you mind, or
No, I did for 51. Oh, it's already 52.
okay, set it so it's just like 2 minutes ahead of us.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so now go to localhost :8080 /json/index.html.
Mine, right? Or
Oh, sorry. I need to pull up my IP address again.
then it's a 24.
Oh, you know what? I'm not running the server either.
Just hit up.
94. Yeah. Go to 10.10. Go to 10.10.10.94 colon 8080 slash JSON slash index.html.
It says it can't be reached. 10.10.10.
94.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not able to connect either. If config.
Also, if you update to the latest version of LSI, you'll be able
Get it more
to
easily.
get it much easier.
So yeah, it's not connecting to my machine either. I've noticed that at home when Jesse and I are trying to connect to each other's machines, it occasionally the Macs don't wind up liking it. Dang it! So we'll have to.
What's the name of your computer?
Yeah, why don't you try? How do I figure out the name?
I don't know. I mean,
It's probably Mark. Or how do I?
Go to your home directory. That's what you're asking for.
Is it home directory? That is the name. So it should be mark.local 8080.
Maybe.
No.
actually, I think you can do just Mark 88. Loading.
I probably would have to
Looks
restart
like
my
if you go
machine.
to sharing, it says you can access. your
Let's try
computer
from
at
this
this.
computer.
I don't know if that's the case
Oh,
for not that, but I have no idea.
it was just working.
Yeah.
It's not.
You can
Oh,
try from your computer if you want.
You want to try it? Well, what's your do you have a server still running?
I have a server running. If anyone has.
10.10.10.315.
Oh, mine. 154.
154.
158 actually. Sorry.
158.
3000.
3000. Okay, good. I need you to run an app that we can both edit though.
Sure.
So can you crash the server?
That's always, yeah.
Okay.
Control C.
Yes. And then do CD, node modules, gun, and then hit enter, and then do npm start. Although your machine is now the one that's in the future, so
Mine is up.
You
I
can
guess.
make it
Okay.
faster.
yours is up also. Oh wait, let's connect to his because then you can still be the villain.
158, 3000. Oh, what is your number?
to his.
I think 18,
18 on
10, 10, 10, 80, 80.
on 8080.
18.
My computer's not wanting.
I don't remember. I can't find my address.
Maybe this isn't worth it.
Config.
If config.
If config, and look for the 1010. 18.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh boy.
Where did-
Well, at least the network worked for us
Yeah, for
up
the,
to this point.
yes.
Oh wait, no time traveling demo. Well, we're way past time now, but
Yeah. It's
hope
fun.
you guys liked it. Any other questions?
It's awesome.
So
It's
an hour to get started with the to-do app, including the server from scratch. And then we went like 20 minutes over and I showed you how to do document, relational, circular reference, key value stuff. And it all syncs in real time. And I was going to show you time traveling. Oh, I also showed you the Holy Grail demo where even if I destroy the server, we still are able to recover all the data because the browsers act as a backup. The gun in the browser is just as much of a legitimate database as the server. All right?
Just a lot smaller.
Yes. What? Oh, just a lot smaller.
Painfully small.
All right, let's wrap that up.